Aloha kako, that means hello everybody. Today I'd like to speak to you about the Hawaiian Kingdom and our current situation, which most people are not aware of. Most people believe we are the 50th state of the United States. We were never ceded to the United States. We were taken. And I'm going to explain to you how we were taken. So first of all, under self-determination, the Kanaka Maoli memorialized who they were and how they governed themselves in 1840 under the Hawaiian Kingdom Constitution. Within the Constitution, we had instructions on how to reinstate our government should our government be overthrown. The Hawaiian Kingdom had 46 treaties throughout the globe, and these treaties included Switzerland, the UK, and the United States, all recognizing that we were an independent nation. We are also considered a neutral nation equal to the Vatican and Switzerland in the Pacific. The process of self-determination and decolonization may not be the avenue for our kingdom. And the reason why is, in 1959, when the UN approved the inclusion of Hawaii as the 50th state of the United States, an oversight occurred. The description submitted to the UN that described what is Hawaii did not include any of our islands. As a matter of fact, it included islands that were 4 hours away by plane. So how do you include a group of islands and a whole archipelago that is to be part of a state when it's not included in the jurisdictional description? This is something that I started to look at in detail, because maybe this isn't just happening to us when you look at the fine print of contracts. So then I started to think, well, what was submitted into the UN? So what was submitted was this thing called Hawaii. And Hawaii is nothing more than a corporation. It did not have any geographical metes and bounds that said where it was located. So this could be located anywhere. Puerto Rico, American Samoa. They want to be a state of the United States. We never wanted to be. And so when they went ahead and submitted this description, the description was really a description of a corporation. Now, nations can be incorporated, but corporations aren't necessarily nations, right? So how is it that they captured us? We had an overthrow in 1893, and in 1893, it was 13 men that came together. They were merchants, and they were the children and the grandchildren of the missionaries who came to Hawaii. Now you got to understand, Hawaii was not a bunch of savages running around. We were actually quite progressive. We had the first electricity on our streets, the first electricity within our palace. We had the first plumbing in our palace before any other palace on the planet. We had 96% literacy in our country in 1891. Now, why did we have that? Well, we went from a traditional governance to a constitutional monarchy governance. Our people didn't really understand that, but our king, King Kamehameha III, thought that he saw that imperialism was starting to take place, and he wanted to protect our people from being taken over by conquest. So we did a couple of things. He made us a constitutional government, but he also looked at the law of nations and decided that by giving his people land, which, back then there wasn't any grocery stores, so people needed land to grow food and to sustain themselves. Every single Hawaiian had land. They gave the lands in what's called a lodial title. Now, a lodial title is absolute title. It's what the king owns. But the king quit his claim and gave it to his people. 70% of all the lands in Hawaii is considered allodial titles till this day. allodial titles in international law cannot be taken by treaty or conquest. So if it cannot be taken by treaty and conquest, today, these titles are still in place. We call them royal patents. If a government like the United States gives a patent of absolute ownership, it's called a land patent. But when a kingdom gives a land patent or a monarchy gives it, it's called a royal patent. So 70% of our lands in Hawaii are private allodial title lands. 30%, which is the only thing that would be up for conquest, was sold to the people as allodial title lands, the 30%. So there's very little that could have actually been captured. Now, the United States claims they captured us through 3 events. One was from what they call the Joint Resolution or the Newlands Resolution that happened in 1897. But in 1897, what actually happened was out of 40,000 people that were subjects of the kingdom, 38,000 wrote in on protest to stop the annexation of Hawaii. Now, the annexation wasn't between the kingdom and the United States. It was between the overthrowers and the United States. So the next attempt was in 1900, which they call the Organic Act. And the Organic Act allowed the kingdom, or it was the United States that was basically bailing out the overthrowers. So they bought nothing, because how could you buy lands that you have no ownership or papers to? But they gave the illusion that they did, because in their paperwork they said, we give to the United States everything that we own, whatever that may be. Well, that was nothing. But it gives the illusion that it was something. So if the United States didn't buy anything, and within this 1900, what they call the Organic Act agreement between the overthrowers and the United States, within that they had what was called Section 4 on citizenship. Now, if you did not take an oath to the Republic of Hawaii, which was the overthrowers, you did not get American citizenship. You did not get U.S. territory citizenship. So in the end, about 4,000 people got citizenship out of 40,000 people. So now we don't have any American citizens. I mean, the majority of the people are not American citizens. They have no representation. The United States has no land. So what do we have? Well, we have the United States breaching contracts. They breached their treaty contract, and they started not acknowledging allodial titles. Now, I'm sure some of you have experienced the breach of contract with countries, and what I'm looking at here is, how is it that we are to resolve this? Do we go on a decolonization list for something that we never gave up? We never gave it up. We are not, we are a constitutional government. We continue to be a constitutional government. So what are we going on the decolonization list for? And we determined who we were in 1840. So why do we need to determine, once again, who we are? And why do we need to ask people permission to own what we already own? We have the allodial titles. Today in court, we're still fighting cases where the United States or the state of Hawaii courts will allow people to come in and make claims on our lands with no titles whatsoever, no history whatsoever of ownership, and they are still able to take our lands. So my proposition is looking for an avenue of methodology where we go to the UN and we ask, how do we correct your mistake, this oversight, where you considered our islands part of the this United States proposal for Hawaii, when our islands were never included in what you approved as the Admissions Act for 1959. Thank you.